This conference will now be recorded.
Hi there, welcome to USA Voice and Data's April Lunch and Learn. Today we're going to be touching on identifying lit buildings and connectivity options. Obviously, internet connectivity is kind of key for everyone these days, and certainly on the business side, a business not having good connectivity kind of suffers pretty badly. For those of you who are not familiar, maybe with USA Voice and Data. We're a telecom, cloud, data center, and security advisor and broker. We're headquartered in Chicago, and yes, this is very much our sort of core competence. My page down button. I'm just going to go through it like this. So. Yeah, we got a wide variety of different services that we sort of categorize into advisory or brokering, expense management, risk management, business continuity. Today, the conversation is very much around connectivity, though, so we're going to be focusing on internet connectivity. Obviously, just an explosion of connected devices worldwide and explosion of websites, and the fact that any business that's not able to connect is basically in big trouble from a survivability perspective. So why is identifying your options such a big deal? Even the most remote locations, we're working with providers who grow seeds, and their growing facilities need to be connected such they can connect with their SAP solutions and so on and so forth. So even like sort of more traditional sort of rural farming community type sort of activities, everybody's needs connectivity now. So it's not just the typical city business, it's rural businesses and so on and so forth. What USA Voice and Data has done, we've basically partnered with all the leading local, nationwide, and global internet service providers, and so that we can basically help our partners and their clients identify the very best options available to them at any location globally. So what are the most common connectivity options available? Obviously, the big thing these days is fiber, and that's really going to be our focus today, both FastE and Gigi fiber connectivity. But obviously, there's also some super high-speed microwave and line-of-sight gigabit wireless providers out there today, and we're actually going to be having a presentation from one of those providers in the coming months. Silver IP, so excited to share them. There's also a connection called Ethernet over copper that can be both asynchronous, where you can have a high download speed and relatively low upload speed, and also asynchronous, which has the same upload and download speed, like a 10 by 10 or something like that. One critical restriction around Ethernet over copper, it's a distance-based technology, so you have to be very close to the local central office to actually get any Ethernet over copper to any of your clients. Obviously, traditional old school T1, not too many businesses can really get by with just a T1 circuit these days. 1.5 meg up and down is not a great deal, and obviously as fiber becomes more ubiquitous and also available and more and better priced, those T1s are very much going bye-bye. What is exploding obviously is cable, due to the very high bandwidth and the very low price of business cable. You know, you can get a 1 gig by 35 meg circuit for probably around about $400 or $500, which is really very reasonable indeed. Equally, you know, you have your DSL UVerse type connections for really way out there places where there's no real infrastructure in the ground, satellite becomes a big option. And we've got another lunch and learn with Viasat coming in a month's time. I'd encourage you guys to tune into that. It's pretty an impressive story that they have to tell. And having just launched a new Viasat 2 satellite, that has actually increased the speed of their connection, plus also their coverage, which is pretty much right the way across the country. And real nice thing about satellite is, you can basically get it hooked up in 3 days. So if you're in a hurry to get somewhere lit up, so long as you've got roof rights or the ability to put a dish somewhere, you can get a place turned up really, really quickly. Then obviously there's the 3G, 4G, and the coming 5G wireless capability. And then finally, you have Verizon rolling out Fios, and AT&T rolling out ABF, which is their fiber to the building product. It's sort of watered down version of fiber, but those are all options that we can help your clients source. So talking about fiber, the first concept that's really important is to understand what a lit building is. And real simply, it really means that a particular carrier or provider has actually fiber facilities already installed within the basement of the building, within the DMARC. And that fiber is already tied back into their network backbones, etc. So what's nice about that is there's no big construction while a provider is actually getting fiber to the building. That's already there, so it's really just a matter of cross-connecting up to your suite, etc. So why does being in a lit building, why is that so significant for you as a tenant or for your clients as a tenant? Number one, obviously, it makes the whole implementation process a lot easier. There's less steps that need to be fulfilled by the actual provider. Secondly, once a provider has already lit a building, they offer discounted rates for additional customers who want to use fiber within that building. So their big expense is getting a building lit. Once that building is lit, for them to add another customer or two is a real sort of low cost to them, so they're able to discount those services to the end clients. Thirdly, obviously, super quick to implement. The fiber's already in the bottom of the basement. They just need to do some engineering, and they need to have someone do the riser management work to actually get the fiber from the DMARC to the actual client suite. And with that in mind, some of the lit building providers, for instance, Cogent and also Comcast, they'll actually do the DMARC extension all the way to your suite, so you won't have to pay for that DMARC extension to get done. So that's another big advantage for you as a tenant when you move into a lit building. So if you got a tenant that's moving and you want to check out if their building is lit, what do? You reach out to us. We have proprietary tools which between them can identify providers who are already showing presence in those buildings, providing presence in nearby buildings, which might be useful in that there may be a construction already taking place in that building that they're moving into, but because it's not lit, it's not showing up already in the thing. But likely if there's a local building nearby that's already lit by one of those providers, there's probably some construction plans in place already to actually get that building that you're looking to move in lit up. Thirdly, our tools identify local metro and long haul fiber routes. So even if your building isn't lit up at all, What's nice about that, it means that you can actually identify those local fiber routes, and we can then reach out directly to those fiber route providers, and those will normally be our favorites for actually getting new fiber delivered to your clients in an unlit building. Those tools also show nearby data centers. So if you are looking to connect to a local data center as well, it would be very easy for us to identify potential candidates for data center colo facilities. And obviously, aside from providing ISP connections and so on and so forth, if they were wanting to get a Metro Ethernet connection point to point directly between their building and the local data center, we'd be able to provide them with quotes for getting those two facilities hooked up together. Finally, other than fiber, we also have tools which will provide availability of different connection options. I talked about Ethernet over copper. So one of the things I'm going to show you here when I demonstrate the tools is how the tools identify how far away the local central office is. And because some of the connection technologies are distance sensitive, we can immediately gauge whether or not it's likely that they would actually be able to, for instance, qualify for an Ethernet over copper circuit, which may be less expensive than a fiber circuit, particularly, and could definitely get hooked up more quickly if the building wasn't already lit for fiber. And in conjunction with these availability things, our tools also can provide us with some preliminary budgetary pricing from some of the providers. We'll basically then enhance that by approaching other providers whose pricing is not automatically quoted, and we will also re-verify any budgetary pricing that our tools kick out. So that's it in a nutshell. We have a lot of tools and a lot of connections available to us, and we can do this obviously nationwide across the United States and also even internationally. So with that, let me just click onto the tools. 1 second here. So yeah, here's our website, and you can see here the different types of products that we have. Obviously today we're talking about internet, but you know, if you have clients with other needs in any of these areas, we'd welcome a call. So let's just take a look at our first tool. So this fiber tool is one of our sort of 3 fiber tools. And what we'll tend to do, we'll tend to look at each of our 3 fiber tools, which will help us verify between them which service providers. So what I've done here, I just typed in our office address and hit search, and it's basically brought back, okay, these are the different providers that are already have this building lit. I can then go in here and I can add the local metro networks, and you can see those fiber networks filling in the picture here. I can then also, for instance, add the long haul networks, and that's just adding some more providers, etc. You can see the full range of the local fiber routes, and then we can also see, we can also highlight data centers and or lit buildings. So I'm just going to hit both there, and they'll start appearing in here. So you can see here are other lit buildings around our office downtown. Here's another fiber location map, and again I just threw in our office address in there, and again you can see the range of the different lit buildings and the metro networks available, and particularly for this particular building, the 200 South Wacker, you can see again here's a list of the different buildings that the different providers that have lit it. A couple of other local providers who are within so many feet away from that address. So again, all of these would be potential providers that we would look at if one of your clients is moving into this suite. And obviously, being in the industry as long as we have, and literally purchasing telecom services for our clients all day, every day, what's nice is, even though this list may look long, and obviously for some buildings it's going to be very short, it's going to be a couple of providers, but when we get into like these majorly competitive buildings where there's an awful lot of providers lit up already, we know full well which of these providers is going to be the most competitive. And obviously, for most of our clients these days, they're looking to get not just one but two internet connections, so they have some network diversity. And obviously, these tools help us identify two completely different providers, etc. Here's our third fiber tool. Again, identifying the different buildings. With here, you can just see, okay, this is the building that we're in, and you can take a look at the different providers here. Equally, it's very easy with this one to see, oh, maybe the customer's considering, 200 South Wacker, and if this is like 150 South Wacker, they can say, oh, well, okay, well, we've got a choice of 5 providers up here versus we got a choice of 9 in the 200 South Wacker. So if they're taking a look at a number of different options, don't be afraid to let us know. We can help them in advance of them signing a lease. We can help them research what internet options they would have at their different buildings, and that may be enough to that may influence their decision of actually which building they actually move into. In conjunction with this, I mentioned the importance of central offices. So with this tool, when we actually put in the telephone number, it actually tries to identify the local central office that telephone number is served out of. Now, it basically says is actually this telephone number of ours actually is coming from a Wooddale central office. That's where those telephone numbers are actually hosted, whereas actually the local nearest central office is not 18 miles away. It's actually only a third of a mile away. So what this tells me is, if I was actually to run quotes for a Ethernet over copper or distance sensitive type product, because I'm less than a mile and a half away, there would be a good likelihood I'd be able to get availability of Ethernet over copper services. So again, it's just another important aspect of our tools. Not only allow you to identify lit buildings, they allow us to identify how far the local central offices are away, so that we can determine if any alternative connectivity options are available. Finally, this is another aspect of the tool. It does provide some preliminary pricing, budgetary pricing of the different service providers and different connections. So you can see here there's all sorts of different bandwidths, and this is Ethernet over copper. So you've not only got synchronous, same 4.5 meg up, 4.5 meg down, etc. You've also got asynchronous 8 meg down, 1 meg up type products, and so on and so forth. So we can see the full range of Ethernet over copper type, synchronous and asynchronous type service options. So that's it as far as the demo of our solutions. I just want to sort of recap. So when is it likely that your clients are going to be looking at their connectivity options? Well, in short, we found that internet connectivity is always being looked at. Clients are always looking to improve their connectivity, whether it's for productivity purposes, whether it's because they're moving, or whether it's actually moving offices, or whether they're just moving some of their applications from being premise-based to cloud-based, and they obviously need better connectivity. When any of their applications start running slowly, the first thing they look at is not, do we have something running on our LAN which is slowing things down, or whatever. It's like, what do we do to improve our internet connectivity? Obviously, they're always looking to save money, and as contracts come up for their existing providers, they're wondering if they can get a better deal. And then finally, of course, they're looking when they get cold called by a provider, or potentially one of your competitors who may have heard about a new promo from one of these internet service providers and is trying to get in the back door behind you to actually sell them these internet connectivity options, etc. So our recommendation for our partners is, beat your clients to the punch. Ask them regularly if they're happy with their internet connectivity, or whether they would prefer some higher bandwidth. Ask them if they'd like a free connectivity review. USA Voice and Data, as your partner, can easily analyze and present them with connectivity options and recommendations. And it may not just be just for one internet connection. It may be for a primary and a backup, and with an SD-WAN solution layered over the top, so that they're optimizing the internet connections that they have. So ask your clients. Don't be afraid to ask them regularly. Is everything running as quickly as you'd like it to run? Do you have anything that you're moving from the premise to the cloud? Is there anything going on which might require you to have some more bandwidth, etc.? It's a very easy conversation, and it's a great lead-in for us to win some business for you. So that's it in a nutshell. I don't know if you have any questions. Obviously, I welcome any right now. Otherwise, you can reach out to me here at ssansom at USA Voice and Data. You can call me at 312-604-3069. And I want to just draw your attention to our website here. Within the partners area here, there's the ability to register an opportunity. So if you speak with a client and they tell you that they would be interested in looking at some new internet connectivity, or even an upgrade to their existing internet connectivity, all you have to do is fill in your details here, the company name, address, the contact name, and so on and so forth, and our team will immediately start running availability checks using the tools that we showed you today, and we'll get back to you with some alternate pricing that you can share with your clients. I would encourage you, this quarter, we're actually running a promo for every internet service lead that we get sent our way. We'll be providing a $20 Amazon gift card to the partner that makes the introduction. So just something to bear in mind. Other thing I just want to draw your attention to before wrapping up here, we do have a couple of other demos. And coming up, we will have the Viasat demo Wednesday, May 29th. Again, it's a lunchtime demo. And then finally, for this quarter, we'll have the gigabit wireless services from Silver IP demo. That will be June 26th. Also, our partner event this quarter is Topgolf out at Naperville. Ross, this is sponsored by Steadfast and Silver IP, right?
Yes, correct.
Excellent. So yeah, this is gonna be timed to be at the same time as the US Open. We'll be having our USA Voice and Data Open at Topgolf. So we do hope you can join us. If you did have any other questions real quick, I'll happy to help answer them now before we wrap up. Oh, that's a great question. Okay, so how long does fiber typically take to provision once you've actually ordered it? So in a lit building, it can be down as low as, for instance, 17 business days is the SLA for Cogent to deliver fiber within one of their lit buildings. That's really the fastest that we've seen. Most providers in a lit building, they can generally deliver fiber within 30 to 45 days. And if it's not a lit building, we can still get fiber delivered. And unlike maybe 5 years ago when you might have to pay $25,000, $50,000, with nowadays, we've been able to get fiber delivered anywhere across the country pretty much without any construction fees. So, you know, to wealthy individuals, estates up in Lake Geneva with a mile-long driveway, we've still managed to get fiber delivered. So, yeah, that's you know, just an idea of how available fiber is. Ross, you asked about the turnaround for pricing. We would typically be able to get pricing to you back within a couple of days. If there are some specific requirements as to getting a particular loop from a particular provider, sometimes that takes a little longer, but again, shouldn't really be any longer than five business days. But most times we'll be able to get something turned around either 24 to 48 hours is typically for turnaround for pricing. Concerning scalability, there are different types of delivery of fiber, and some of those fiber connections you're able to like actually burst to higher bandwidths, but most fiber connections are delivered over a static fiber connection, which can't actually be easily upgraded. So you may order a 10 meg circuit, a 10 meg fiber circuit, and maybe you want to double that bandwidth to 20 meg. That being the case, there's still typically some delay in actually getting that provisioned. It's not as simple for most providers as turning up a dial and all of a sudden you've got 20 meg instead of 10 meg. It is available with some providers, so it really kind of depends. So if scalability, ad hoc scalability is important to you or your clients, it's important to let us know that in advance so that we can quote the right type of product from the right type of provider with that sort of capability. If that is the last question, then we're just going to wrap up here. And I'd like to thank you all for your time. And again, I'd encourage you to drop back for our forthcoming solution demos here. The next one's May 29th, when we'll be reviewing the Viasat satellite internet services. And then the following one is June 26th, where we'll be joined by Silver IP, who provide gigabit wireless services around Chicagoland and also Milwaukee, etc. So for folks in the Chicago and Milwaukee areas, that will be particularly poignant for you guys. Thanks and have a great day.